Hi everyone, it's Lolita, and this is the complex organic object with cloth and the cross contour line video explaining how to look at the way the fabric is moving by using a set of the cross contour lines and then applying cross contour lines to describe the surface of the shoe that we're working with too. I hope you learned something. As you can see, I've got all of my pencils that we are using this semester, and I have them all sharpened already. So I'm going to continue working on this sketch, and I have several of the proportions fairly accurate already. So I'm just going to keep going in and completing in the last of the details. So what I did first is I sketched this in, and I've already gone back in and modified it to make sure that the relative proportions are accurate. So I'm just going in now and going to complete the rest of the details of the shoe. We've got a detail that comes in through here. It's stitching, and I'm going to draw that detail in, and it's got dimension to it, so I'm going to add that sense of dimension. It comes around, and I'm going to keep that dimension consistent from the top of, like, you can even think of this as a channel, but these two lines where it's defining the edges of the shoe, that detail on the shoe. So it stays the same width all the way around, and this is consistent with the last video where I was working on this complex organic object with and using this shoe. So I know for the other exercise, I didn't require you to complete this with a shoe, but on this exercise we're definitely going to use a shoe because I want you to work with the challenge of the irregular contour, and then it's also a familiar object, so I think there's a certain amount of understanding the contour that's going to be present with you working with the shoe. And then it just, again, it offers a nice guaranteed sense of complexity, and I want everybody to experience that because some of these angles here, since this is going to be a cross contour line drawing, some of those angles are interesting to do, and I want you guys to have that experience of looking at that object, the shoe here, or your shoe, and understanding which direction those contours move, the contours in your shoe, and being able to articulate and describe that. So I'm going to draw the shoelaces in here now too, and I hope you guys can see this. I hope it's light enough, or it's not so light, rather, that you can't see it. So I think I had put that just a little too far back. So I'm looking at the distance from this edge to where the next edge that I see for the edge of the shoelace, and that's where I decided it was located in space. So it comes from here and it goes down through about here. This actually, now that I'm looking at this again, this goes up a little higher and then comes in and gets a little flat in through here. So I'm going to just correct that, and then this shoelace runs in front of that flat surface and it terminates about here. So I've got the arc going a little too steep, and now I'm going to bring that back here and put that in. And this goes all the way down, and just slightly, once I cross the edge, that line, the edge of the sole of the shoe, it that's how low the shoelace hangs, and it just barely hangs a little bit lower than the bottom of the shoe here. It just, if I look at this line that describes that bottom of the sole, it hyperextends that just a little. Let's see, did I give myself room to have the sole of this shoe coming in through here? Yes, I did. And so that's going to work out. I think I still need, I'm gonna have to make this higher then, because I did forget to describe that here. I think I'm gonna put it a little lower and have it come back in through here. At the bottom of the shoe here is a little on the round side, so it comes around and goes through there. This whole thing is going to be a little higher. This comes through here, and this is, it's got the just slightly more of a wedge here, and so that's going to go up there. I'm going to bring this down and tuck this underneath the bottom there of the shoe there. I'm going to go back in with an eraser and play with those lines, so that way I just am getting them in there clean already. So in this video I had done the sketch stage already using the sketch grip to get these lines down, and now I'm since I'm doing the details, that's why I'm not using the sketch grip. This comes back around and has a little space back behind it that comes there, and this comes here and is, yeah, I still have that that elbow problem I had mentioned before, and it's sometimes it'll just I'll get some weird movement out of it, like just right now it sort of popped. All right, so that is nice there. I've got that detail where that comes through like that. This there is another detail here on the bottom or at the bottom of this contour, and that goes from here to here, and that's where the shoelace is tucked in, and it's this, if I look at the shoelace and I look at the detail's a little wider than the shoelace is. So I'm going to just take that there and just follow the same contour that I've already established with the top line and get that in there. So that comes and goes over the top of the shoe like that. Then right down here I've got there's another hole where that shoelace comes through, and this is really familiar to me because it's what I did with the last exercise. It's that same shoe all over again, so it's almost as if I get to use that former shoe as a study for this exercise. So that goes down in there and threads in through there. It comes in through here, and this is the side that comes and it joins this side, and this comes back in and tucks in on itself, and then you're seeing the top of that shoelace as it winds back down into the hole. So that's it. It curves there and flattens out. So now this is again that shoelace, and it's just slightly thinner than the detail, and that goes from here and loops to about here. So I'm just going to take that, and that's the bottom of that loop. This comes out like this and comes out here, and then it flattens out in through here because it's twisting, and it comes here, and you don't see the entire surface of that shoelace. It's in perspective, so it looks really small within a slightly forced perspective. So then the other shoelace, it comes across here, and it pokes out a little from here and wraps back in on itself. And the hole for the shoelace to go in is about here. This comes in and twists in really tight. It's like the shoelaces are a little bigger than the actual hole is, and so it pinches down into it and pinches the shoelace on itself. And then this is got a little few twist. It wraps around like this on the shoelace, and it moves over like this. So I'm just going to describe it like that. I'm going to go back in through here and erase where that shoe contour line would be, because we don't really actually see it because they're not x-ray. Oh yeah, we do see that one, yeah, because it's in front of the rest of that shoe, that part of the shoe. So I think that is pretty much it for the details. And now looking at the fabric, what I've done is I look and I see what direction the box that this shoe is on, what direction those lines are moving. And so I see that from left to right, it moves from this point on the shoe is about where it intersects, like about halfway through the heel, and it moves from the heel. That line moves diagonally out to the left edge of the paper, and I look at the length of that, and that's about the angle it makes. This is going to be a little bit more rounded in through here, and so I had put that heel in sort of blocky before, and it's a little more rounded. This comes in through here. So I got a little distracted by this when I went back up in there. And so let's get back into talking about how you want to consider the fabric. So I'm drawing the base that the table that the shoe is sitting on, and I'm going to go look over here on this side, and I see over here it intersects the tip of the shoe and it moves the opposite direction of the other side of the box that this shoe is sitting on. Then I'm looking at the major folds of the fabric, and I've got one that comes from this edge and it moves over and intersects the shoe at about right here. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to clean up this line that represents the bottom of the shoe and put that in a little bit more solidly and cleaner. Let's see if I go around here to this part of the shoe. This comes down flat like that. When it hits the tip, then it moves around and it's a little bit more rounded in that area. So I'm going to just take this back and start making this a little cleaner looking. If I get down to this part of the shoe, this does need to go a little lower. It does go down here like this, and then the fabric comes up and it covers part of a section of the shoe there. I'm going to make this comes down here, this is a little lower. It does not get covered by the fabric. So it goes from here, and this goes about here. From here, the fabric does come up again and intersects. If I look at the edge of the fabric, it intersects the shoe at about that point. It comes down on itself, and right now I'm looking at what those major folds in the cloth look like. I've got another fold coming in through here, because when you're drawing cloth, you want to look at the major folds. And when we talked in class, I did mention that you should just make sure that you only do 1 or 2 small folds, because you don't want to get too complex and have a problem that's going to be a little too difficult for yourself to solve And considering this is our first drawing where we're starting to handle cloth. So I just want you to work with have like one or two folds going on, not too many folds. And so then this comes down here and it does this nice little move and comes up, and it's almost parallel with actually this is a little higher than, I think this comes in through here. I'm going to lower this, the edge of that fabric, because it looks like I was considering it a little bit too high, because it is interfering with the structure of my shoe the way I had drawn it, and I don't want that to be the case at all. If I look from here to here, this is a contour in the shoe where it's rippled. It comes in through here and moves like this. So right now I'm drawing in some of the shapes that I see, and just sort of like making sure that the parts will fit together, and then that lets me know that I'm on the right track with my proportions. Let's see, yeah, that looks pretty good there. And now I want to come in through here. This is still about where this goes a little bit. It doesn't curve quite enough. So I'm going to take that and curve that just a little more and get rid of that shape over there. So I want this to come down here and then goes back up on itself, and the contour of that fold, it intersects, but I can see the bottom of the shoe between the top ridge of that fold. So I don't want to cover that. I had it wrong, just a little wrong before, and now now that I'm going back in, I'm checking, and I'm not going to, like I say before, just because I put a line there doesn't mean I need to commit to it and basically marry it and make sure that it's, so I can change my mind about a line and decide to put it in a different place than when I first drew it. So there's a little bit more room in through here. So I'm adjusting all of these. This comes down just a little bit more and it folds on itself, and then there's this, the fabric moves out over here and the roll comes back in through about here, and about right here on the shoe is where the fabric starts bunching up, and that second little pipe fold starts to form, and that's going to go from here all the way over to here. So I'm just drawing the major folds in there, and that looks fairly accurate to me now. So I'm drawing in those major folds. As it moves over to the left side of the paper, the fold is it starts unfolding just a little bit and becomes more of a roll in the fabric. Back here, the fabric does move here, and then it goes over the side there. So that looks pretty good to me. What I'm going to do now is go back in and clean up my lines. This is, I'm going to leave that in here. This is pretty much the bottom of that fold where it starts going flat in through there. So I'm going to leave those lines in there because they're going to help me understand where I need to do my shift and planes. Because remember, with cross contour lines, they are a system of horizontal and vertical lines that describe the surface contour of the object that you're attempting to draw. So with this, what we have to keep in mind that even though we call that a series of horizontal and vertical lines, they really, horizontal and vertical lines, even though we call them a series of horizontal and vertical lines, they really are a series of lines that are, you can consider as horizontal, but they really do move in diagonals for the most part. And so you want to keep that in mind, because that's what's going to give your surface a believable contour with your contour lines. That's what's going to help follow that contour. So this is soft back here, and it sort of flattens out through here, and this is a harder edge, but it's still not as hard of an edge as the edge of the shoe here, where the only thing you see behind it is air. It's more of a soft fold. So I still want to describe the contour of those folds. So that comes in through here. This is a little lower in here. Make it a little lower. And I'm going to go back in and erase that, because I'm working in this tight area. I like using my click eraser. And then I always like to keep paper towels with me when I work, because when I like to, why are you there still? So I like to use this in two ways. I wipe off all of the excess debris from my erasers with the paper towels, and it also protects the paper from my own hand. So this is also, I'm going to just leave this here almost as, again, like I said, as a guideline, and I'm putting it in light and sketchy because I'm going to be using that to determine where the shift in planes for my cross contour lines go when I'm start drawing the direction for my cross contour lines here. So this goes from about right here, and this is where it hits that the edge of the table is about right in through here, but the fabric is hanging on a bias. It moves over here. When it gets here, it does do that fold. It does a little dip kind of thing over here, moves here, and it's about right here at the bottom of this fold where I'm looking at that one line at the bottom, that white line that's at the bottom of the plaid fabric that I'm using. You know, I did recommend that you guys use plaid fabric because that helps with the with gauging where your cross contour lines, the direction that they might be moving. So on this one, I'm going to go in and clean up. Because of the way I'm working, I'm gonna work this from top to bottom, because this way when I move down, I won't be smudging lines that I've drawn down here already. So now what that means is I'm gonna go through and clean up these lines, and because since it's a cross contour line drawing, and that means it's relying on the contour lines, those lines provide information to your viewer, and so they're just not inert little things when you leave them there, because it's their information on the paper. Those marks inform your viewer of what's going on. It's almost like it's because this is a form of visual communication. And if you think about it, if you were writing a letter, and just left random alphabets just placed anywhere in your letter, it would not make as much sense as if you got rid of those letters or didn't put them there in the first place. But you definitely would not want to include them in your final product, because people will read them and they will understand them as part of what you are trying to communicate. So the same thing goes for when you're drawing. Those marks, they mean something to your viewer. So down here, I'm going to go into a little more nuanced, because this comes in through here and it physically changes directions. It moves over this direction just a little bit, because as it passes over this, the fold, or rather this, as it passes over the detail here in this shoe, it shifts planes just a little, and then as it drapes across this part of the shoe where it tucks under to support the arch, it changes direction a little again. So there's a slightest little fold in there, and it comes down here, and as it crosses across that, the sole of the shoe, and it moves and it touches the table, it changes its the direction it was moving. And again, that's because of the influence of the contours that it's crossing. So it's moving over here, and then so once it touches the table, that physically interferes with the whether or not this would hang nice and loose, and it supports it, and then it changes the physics of the shoelace. Okay, so here we go. Here I'm cleaning this line up. I'm going in here with my 2H on here, because that retains a nice little tip, so I don't have to sharpen it as often as I would with the softer pencils. The softer pencils, the lead on them dulls fairly quickly. So I do need to get in here. I hope I'm not blocking the camera, because if I am, I will have to edit my video and you won't see this part of the drawing. So this is again, part of the detail in the shoe I'm going to put in there this time, coming around, and that comes on itself, and then it moves, and there's a little bit of detail up here. And this, so you can see, because I've got like the picture-in-picture up there, so if you look at the reference photo up there, the reference of what I'm drawing, what I'm looking at here. So I've taken a picture of it, and I'm going to place that in my video. So I'm talking as if I've already done it. I haven't done it yet, but I'm talking as if I had, because you guys, by the time you look at it, it will be done. So I didn't quite get those staying in the like on that track, so that they're the same distance apart the entire length of the contour, that we're describing with these contour lines. So there we go, that looks okay. And then in here, go back in here, my elbow doing that fun little pop thing, yay! And in through there. And I'm going to go back in and clean up those lines. I'm going to go back in, and so that's pretty much my drawing there. I'm not going to, there's like little details of circles in there. I'm not going to bother putting those in. I don't need all of that information. I am going to go in through here and play with the contour in through here just a little bit more to make it a little more irregular, because it does come in through here and it doesn't move quite as regular as I had drawn it. I sort of just drew a generalized version of the shape, like an overgeneralized, but now I'm getting in and nuancing it and describing the form a little bit closer to its actual shape, because remember, this is a complex organic object. Sure, it's a mechanical object, but it's functioning as a complex organic object because it's made out of leather and it's taken on the form of an organic object by virtue of that fact. So this comes down here a little bit more and then goes back up on itself, and that should agree with that just a little bit more. And ideally it will agree with these contours in here too. This actually comes in and is a little bit more like this. So I'm going to get rid of that there. And it's got sort of a pinch in through here. And then it gets a little bit more generalized in through here. So this goes here, and this is a little more flat in through here. There we go. And then same thing here, where this is going to come in through here, and this stays it retains its smooth, irregular or regular form over on this side, because the arch of the foot doesn't really impact the shape too much. It does not, there's not a whole lot of movement that occurs in this part of the shoe. This is where all of the movement occurs in here, and that's what helps make them look a lot more like organic objects. That's what gets it into that idea of looking organic. I've got a couple dips and folds in through here. This at the bottom of this moves through here like this, and then when it comes down it goes like this, and it's got a little crinkle on itself, and then it moves over here in this direction. And again, I'm just going to be using these little marks that I'm making I'm going to not have them look really pronounced, and they're not really part of my so in through here, they're not really part of my cross contour line system, but what I am going to use them for is to determine where I place that shift in contour on the shoe. Yeah, because I think that's really helpful that way. So in here, this moves up right here. There is a highlight, so I'm going to put that in through there. I may have put this a little too low. I think I did, and I think that might be what part, but I'm looking at this. I think I did space it a little too low, but that's life, Everything's not always perfect. It's close enough that it's just off by just such a small angle, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's not enough to change my drawing. So, and then let's see, coming in through here, about here, this is where the shoe folds on itself. It moves in through here and then comes back here. This comes in and it's got collapses in through there. There's a shadow in through here. And so I'm going to use these, and that's where I'm going to be changing the direction of my cross contour lines when I put them in. This edge does come out like that, and when I look at goes down like this, and then there's just a little bit of a shift in contour there. This comes down and it's inset relative to this form of the shoe, like the heel of the shoe. This comes back in on itself, and yeah, so this just flattens out a little. I'm going to go ahead and put this line in here. This is the top of that shoe. This comes down over here. I'm going to assert the line of shoelace a little more, because this is now where I'm putting in the details, and I'm fairly confident that I know where the contour lines are going to go, so I don't really have to worry about jacking up the drawing if that might be a concern. So, and even if I wasn't worried about jacking it up, putting these lines here, remember, to a certain degree, the contour of your shoe, the outer contour, is going to help you be informed of what those inner cross contour lines should be shaped like, what the contour should be. So like I said, this does come out, goes flat, and then turns in on itself. So you're seeing two sides of that. This comes out and it's flat in through here, and then takes a hard turn, goes down into that hole, comes back up over itself like that, and then this does a flatness in through here, and it turns over on itself and then moves down. Then we've got this surface of the shoe, which we describe with a harder edge, and that comes down in through here. And I'm just basically just tracing the lines I've already established at this point. So this is the bottom of that detail, and then I guess technically it's the top. Then here's the bottom, and we're coming in through here, still using the 4H pencil. You haven't, rather the 2H. I haven't switched that. It's still working for me. So I need to lean in here so I can access this, and hopefully my head is not in the video. Alright. Physically accessing this. This is easier to do if I'm not filming, if I'm not recording it rather. Obviously I'm not using film, it's video, digital video. Alright, I don't like how that line turned out. It got a little too janky, and then this one got a little too janky, too shaky looking, and there's, you know, again, because like that, every line that you leave on your paper is visual information that your viewer will pick up, and you want your lines to be deliberate and deliver the information that you want to deliver to your viewer, not just random information. So getting that line to keep up with the with the shoelace. All right. And there we go. All right, back to this part of the shoe where that's going to come in through here, drawing the sole of the shoe where it connects to the actual shoe. So there we go. This comes in through here and moves around like that. This has a little bit of a gap back there, and this moves down like this, and I'm going to make sure that that follows on the same width profile as the rest of that moving into there. Making sure that it tucks around, my line tucks around that corner, so I'm going to lead my viewer's eye around that corner, coming in through here, just again retracing the line I already established. Here's the heel, and it moves back like that. There we go. And I'm almost done drawing this shoe, just tracing my the lines I've already established. And this comes in through here. Okay. And it goes down like that. Move it around where it joins that heel. Comes out from underneath that cloth. This is defines both of those edges, but it's the cloth that's that we're actually seeing. It's the edge of the cloth that comes down like that and moves back. All right, just retracing those lines. I've got a little bit more up here to do, and I'm almost into drawing my cross contour lines. Just tracing the contours that I've already established. That goes in flat through here, down like that. And there is that contour like that. It dips, comes back on itself. This goes down a little and has a contour like that. Comes in through there and moves like that. So now I've got the, that's the major contours of my shoe are drawn. And I want these edges are as hard as the edges of the shoes. So I'm going to draw these in here and have them keep up with the, keep the same pace as the outline of the shoe. So this way it assigns that same visual priority to the shoe and to the edge of the table. So this moves over like this, and this is a little bit of a hard edge in through here. Then it moves over like this. This again is a little bit of a hard edge because this is where the fabric rolls, and so you'll see me using that to play around with the direction of the cross contour lines. This comes down and let's see, is that goes here? I think yeah, I think I am gonna have to redo this line. This is not where that goes and covers it. This comes down and through here, and it keeps going, and it gets covered just a little bit in through here with this line. and then this dips down here, and I see the bottom of that again. So I'm going to move that around. All right, that's soft. And if I look here, this is a soft little fold, but right here is where it starts taking a little bit more of a stiff edge, and that describes the one of those folds in the fabric, and it's fairly much a hard edge all the way over to here. I get here, and it moves up on itself a little, and so I'm going to shift the contour of that to go up a little on itself. And then this is the bottom of that line, so this is going to wind up being a deeper contour line. So these are the hard lines that describe my folds. This is a hard line in through here, a harder line, and I'm going to erase that and start cleaning these lines up. Again, that because you don't want visual information there that does not tell your viewer what you want to be telling them. It moves down there like that. This comes in through there. That is fairly stiff in through here. It goes here and wraps on itself, and it's bubbles up through there, and okay. Putting in the cross contour lines now, I am going to start to describe the surface with the cross contour lines. Just going back in and putting those in. Those again pretty much follow the contour of the outline. This moves down in a vertical way, so I'm going to just be going in here, and I can get really fancy and put little indications that perhaps there's that piping on the side of the shoe, so it put those in different directions, and then make these a little on the curvy side so it describes that rounded surface that is the piping. Rounded surface, move down. Same thing here where I can come down and round that a little bit as it moves down here at the back of the shoe. I'm going to pass over and just do a slight little jog over of that line to indicate that those are on different planes. This comes around and you just see a little bit of it there. I'm going to make sure that these are offset from the lines in the back, just to make sure that they don't create too much of so that way they don't meet and look like they're one line, because then that would flatten out that surface all over again. So like I had mentioned before, I'm going to be using those little teeny tiny lines that I established in there. I'm going to be using those to describe the movement in the surface back here, And in fact, I forgot to do it there, so I'm going back in and erasing it there. And I'm going to move that in here and then just slightly back, because there is a slight tilt, and I'm going to do a little bit of offset from the mark up there, the line up there, move this around here, and again where it comes down here I'm going to just have that slightly offset again to describe that it's moving on a different plane when it gets down here. There's just a small tuck to describe that rounded surface where it goes into and tucks down into the sole of the shoe. Again, where I'm going to make sure that these are offset so it does not create a line with the lines in the back. It moves down this direction where it's got a steep little movement in there. It dips and moves back down. I'm going to again just slightly offset to describe that those are on just a slightly different plane, and move that down. Then again here, where, like I had mentioned before, I'm going to be using that line to determine where I shift in plane, where I go back and I shift that line, so that way it describes some of that surface contour. Instead of looking super flat, that goes down again like that. Then from here, this comes in here, and these actually pinch a little more. And I'm going to describe that line up there. Again, making sure that it doesn't meet with the, excuse me, with the lines in front of, or rather in the back. So again, with that moving down, I extended this one down just a little too far, so I'm going to go there again so it does not give off information I don't want it giving off. This comes down like this, it moves here, and then here, and then comes down. I'm going to have it again with slightly offset and take this down here. This moves from here, and then it comes and wraps around a little bit there, moves there, and then I'm going to do that just a little offset. Again, have that come down and tuck as it goes underneath that. It tucks itself into that sole. And this, let's see, so this is going to come here and move in through here and come down on itself. Put that there. There, this comes down on itself. And this, when it hits here, it changes direction a little there, and then it comes down here, and this tucks underneath that shoe again, the heel where it meets up with the sole of the shoe. This moves down just a little like this. I'm going to offset it just a little when it comes down in through here. It moves in through here, and then it tucks a little underneath there. This moves down through here. It disappears behind the shoelace, so that way it keeps its proper relationship in space. And this comes down like this. This starts to move just a little forward, and when it gets down here, it moves just slightly a little more straight than it did in that surface. When it gets down here, this is where it shifts just a little bit, and it gets here, and I'm gonna just offset that, have this come down and wrap around, again describe the way it wraps and meets the sole of the shoe. So here there's just the slightest little turning here, and then it moves down, moves down, moves down. When it hits this line, let's see what direction, it moves a little bit back and through here, and again down here where it comes down here, and it's got that nice curved contour to it. This moves a little bit, again, where it's still starting to finally tilt a little bit more, and it comes down and through here. These lines in here, I think, got a little too straight. I think there's a little bit more curve to them and through here. So I'm going to go back and reestablish these and give them a little bit more curve in through there, because that shoe is just really moving a little too straight up and down. It doesn't really move quite that straight up and down. It's about, I'm going to erase this and this, all of these lines here, and go back in, and it's about right in through here where I'm going to establish that contour of the movement in through here. It moves in through there, and it goes out just a little more here, bows back in here, curves in through here just a little more, and comes in through here. So I'm going to erase. I think I'm going to still make a little bit more of a arc on that line. Take this a little farther in there, and then move that out, move that out, move that so it turns just a little more, get it to come through there, and leave it there. Then I'm going to make those other lines match these just a little more. So this is going to come here just a little, have a little bit of an arc to it, and then it's going to come down again, have a little bit more of an arc to it as it gets down. Go away, little bug. And then so I'll probably just change the intervals of some of these lines so that way they'll just fit in there just a little better. So I think I'm going to change that one, change these in here so that way they fit in there and describe that surface just a little better. Alright, so that's going to go in there like that. Come down here, jump back, and this is going to go in through here like this and still do that tuck. I think I can probably fit, if I erase, let's see, that's that. If I erase one more line, I think that's going to be a better fit for what I'm going for. So this one comes down here like this. It goes a little forward because of the warp in the surface. I'm going to put those just a little closer, describing a sense of more of a pinch. Take this down here through there, bring it back in on itself here, and then I've got a place for one more line, and that fits just a little better. I like that fit a little better. I'm going to put this in through here, bend that one in, and then I'm going to go in and change these because they were just a little too flat and did not describe the surface I was hoping they would describe. Okay, and then even in here, these look like they move just a little more arced, and I can get rid of these in here too. Okay, and that feels a lot more comfortable. So in through here, if I look in through here, this goes in through about there. Then I've got another one where it comes in and it goes about through here. And it moves there and down like this. So when I get here, this is a lot more flat, and as it moves through here, it changes again. Let's see, from there, this is going to move down like this. From here, I've got a line that goes here, and so this comes in through sort of like that and moves like this, and then comes down. This is flat in through here. It comes here, hits this contour, and moves down. When I get down here, it curves a little, and then this really does it. And this is that little line that I had drawn before. This is where the shift in contour happens, where these are moving more this direction, and as soon as they hit this surface, they shift in plane and move from here and move down. Same thing here. This goes a little bit like that, then moves down. This moves like this, hits this line, and moves down. When I get here, these are much more, so this comes in through like that. And this is where I have got a lot of really funky movement going on in through here. These lines, this moves this direction, and I'm going to make sure that I have it offset again from those other lines down there, so that way they don't collapse into each other and look like they're the same surface. This comes in and goes in through there. This comes like this, and when it gets here, it goes back that direction, so it goes and in through there. This pinches in on itself. This surface is more like this, and again it does a little pinch in there. From here, this moves a little bit around there, comes here and drops down there. It pinches in there and moves over that surface. This from here, this moves down like that. So this moves down straight like that, and this is really pinched in here, so you don't really, doesn't really translate quite that straightforward. So that's real nice and wrinkled down there. These I'm going to these move a little bit in on themselves. Same thing here, where I've got some scrunch happening. Here, and moves around that toe. And this comes down like this. It hits that angle and moves around when it hits here. These come around, this comes around this direction, hits here, and goes around. This is going to come out this direction, and I'm going to have this come out this direction a little more. So these, I'm going to put these at a greater angle. I don't like that angle I chose. So I'm going to use these where they come out this direction. They're going to hit here and go around on themselves. Here we go, and go around on itself. This comes out like this and goes around on itself. Comes out here as it hits that side. It switches trajectory, or it moves in a different direction, whichever word you might find a little more comfortable for your use, you can use. So this comes down and moves like that, comes here, moves like that, moves like that. Then I'm going to do the horizontal lines, and these are going to be fairly easy. Again, they're going to follow the contour. Goes here. From here it goes up, goes down, goes back up, comes up, sinks down, goes back up. You don't really see it. I'm going to take it up this direction. This goes down like this, and it goes back up on itself, goes back up on itself, comes down, goes back up, and that's looking like a really textured or irregular contour, not texture. All right, take this up here and move it back there. Take this up here and move it back here. This, I'm going to use the lines that the toes have made to really describe that form. This comes up about here. It moves back here, gets a little scrunched in through there, and moves back like this. This is a little bit of extra in through there. Comes in through here, and this is fairly smooth and regular when it gets to this part of the shoe. This moves in the same direction as the shoe. Just really nice smooth surface back here. Relatively smooth surface back here. These go in through there. All right. So that's coming out really nice, and this just pretty much follows that contour, and I can, I don't want to do it there. I accidentally made them join in. That gives it a funky look that I'm not interested in. So this one meets there. I'm going to, I can also break up the line by making this line stronger. So then I'm just going to move this up there to make sure it does not join that other line and look like they're working in concert with each other to describe a contour. Alright. This is a fairly regular spacing in through here. So this is just, or I can go in and regularly space those. Really nice. And I've already got that back there done. I am going to describe the squareness of the heel, or the blockiness. This just wraps around, and I'm going to make it at a slightly different pattern than the, or intervals than the I did over the surface of the shoe. I'm going to put it just a little tighter, closer together, so it describes more of a compact surface. And then these, again, they just come in through and follow the contour of those, the outline. They're fairly close to the contour of that outline. Okay, and then these follow this line and these are fairly straight up and down, so I'm going to just make those straight up and down. And now it's a good time to start the lines on the fabric. So if I look here, back behind here, I'm going to use one of the edges of the lines that are in the cloth, in the plaid cloth. So these come out, and I'm going to use this dark line. It comes out, it's through here, and then when it comes out again and you see it again, it's here. So this is going to be that same line. It comes in and it moves fairly vertical, but just as it crosses over this contour, when it hits here, the top of this fold, it shifts again, and so then it's picks up and it's over here, and it's rounding the top of that pipe fold, or that fold that it's like a tube, and it moves back on this direction. When it hits the bottom of that fold, it does this soft roll out, and it moves a little bit in this direction, and this is that the second, like that second fold in the fabric. And when it hits here, it moves slightly over again this direction, and in through here is about where the edge of the table is. So it starts turning again and moves back again in this direction, and where it falls over this big area, it goes in there, that moves like that, this comes across and hits there, then it moves in through like this and does that. This, so I'm going to go back in and establish more lines in here, looking at a pick up another edge, and that's this one. I'm going to go all the way out here to the outside edge of that other stripe in the plaid fabric. I'm just going to follow that outside line. It gets here and moves this direction and then falls down here. When it hits this hard edge here, we don't see it again, and it picks up way over here, and it moves forward in this direction. When it hits about here, it goes down, and when it hits this contour here, then it moves back towards the edge of my paper and rounds back on itself and keeps going down in this direction. I'm going to put that there. And so that is, I'm just going to use that same, now I've got like these two lines here, and I'm just going to sort of fill in the blanks between them. But first, I'm going to go and establish the direction some of the other lines are moving and get that taken care of. Let's see, where am I now? I'm going to look just past the, using this as a landmark or an indicator of space, just to help me situate myself nicely in space. I'm going to use this as a point, like I can use it as a, you know, again, back to that idea of algebra. If I look at a horizontal versus a vertical axis and just use this as a point on that axis, I'm going to just move slightly over from this edge and find another defined edge of that fabric. It moves this direction, and so this is why I chose that plaid pattern. Then it moves back here because I can use those lines to help inform me of where the direction the fabric is actually moving. So it moves down here. When it hits here, it slightly changes a little bit in direction. When it hits this part here, let's see, it goes this, moves around like that, and it bows just a little. When it hits here, it moves from a vertical to a slightly out this direction, and from here to here it moves fairly consistently at this slope. It hits here and just moves down just a little bit. So, and then if I look at another fixed point, I'm going to go ahead and look at the other side of that stripe, and this edge moves about like this. When it hits here, I've overshot that. When it hits here, so this rounds and rounds over that edge like that. When it hits here, this edge is, I look at the edge of that white stripe there, and then when I look here, it picks up here, it moves down here. When it hits that contour, it rounds, and when it hits the bottom area of that fold, then it flattens out and moves this direction again, and moves over at quite a slant, and then rounds back out on itself. So I've got that there, and that's that. If I look past here, I've got another line over here, and so this, I'm going to start doing some of the horizontal lines so I don't get too past myself on that. So going back here, if I look here, I've got this line here. I've got a line that moves from here, and then as it goes over, it's in through there. This, I've got another line that comes here that goes down like that. This actually, I think I didn't give myself enough space back there, but so this moves up like this and flattens out in through here, moves back up and disappears behind here. I'm going to look for another line, and there's one that starts about here. There's this one, it moves from about here, and let's see, that moves there, goes in through here, and disappears on itself right about in through here. So this is going to be a harder line. So it'll describe a harder surface, and it'll take more attention. It'll subordinate those other lines. This will become more dominant and provide the viewer with more of a focus back here because of the darkness of that line. So then this is in through here. This comes down in through like that. Okay, so there's that. This comes up in through here, and where's this line? Okay, and then past this line, it moves and goes down like that, and this moves in like that. This got a couple lines here, so let's see, back here these move. I've got some lines that move fairly horizontal nicely back here, and I'm gonna darken this up, and these move pretty much the same direction as the surface of the table or the box that it's sitting on. I've got some lines that come in through here. This is more of a hard line edge, so I'm going to describe that with a thicker line. And from here, these move out from about over here, and they move this direction. Let's look at that and see if I'm seeing that right. So if I look at about right here where this meets, I've got a line that moves from here to here, and then when it hits this soft little fold here, it does not pick up again till over here. It moves here and then comes way over here and is turning here, and from here it stays fairly consistent. It hits down here and does a nice little turn where it moves, and it's consistent with the rest of these lines where it comes out here, and I'm just going to have it keep going. And so this is going to be just a slightly darker line in through here. This, like I said, that moves and then it goes like that. This moves here, and when it comes out, it's way over here. When it comes back down, it's over here again. And then that just comes out and moves that direction. So I'm going to put that direction. This from about here, this comes out and moves this direction. This has, it moves this direction and disappears on itself and doesn't pick up again till there. So I'm going to just leave that like that. This does over here, it moves on itself and gets down here and does this kind of thing and then turns back. So I'm going to put that, a little bit of a line there. So I've got the general movement of my lines. I'm going to put some of my horizontal lines in. If I look in through here, my I'm just going to establish that as a deeper, darker line. And through here, that's also the top of that fold, so I'm going to describe that with a darker line because there's a harder edge there. And then I'm going to just move, let's see, put some other lines here, a soft horizontal line that comes and goes back there. So it describes that surface moving that way. I'm going to bring a couple of lines in through here and then do them. Let's see, how offset would these be? These, if this one starts here, it goes way over here and then it's back over here, and then here again where they come a little farther apart and then wrap around the edge of that table. And this comes in through here. Got another one that comes in through here. So I'll put these a little closer together, then it comes here and so this this comes in and moves here this direction. When it hits here, it moves slightly out there, and then when it gets here, it shifts fairly dramatically. These move pretty much from this direction over to here. This is fairly flat in through here underneath the shoe, so I'm going to just describe that as a lot more flat, and then just make a couple more interval lines in here to describe that surface just a little bit better. Again, in through here, let's see, I'll take this line and offset, moves back that direction here. Wrap that around, move it here, and it moves back over this direction. So I think that is, I feel fairly comfortable with these contour lines. I'm going to take this and move this through here like this, move it like that, put a couple more in through here, put this soft line in through there. I don't know why I've got a bug in here flying around bothering me. So now I'm going to go back in. I've got my 2B, and I'm going to play with the line quality. Just add a little bit of variation in here to darken up some of these edges to separate the hard edges from the softer edges of the cross contour lines. So this way they're going to be located at different places in space, add a little bit of a sense of dimension here. Just enhance that sense of form. I'm not going to put this one quite as dark as those other ones, but I'm still going to make it darker than the cross contour lines. Take this back up in through here. Put that in through there. I am going to make that darker. I'm going to make this darker back here. Just adding, put that one in like that so it really establishes that place in space. Make this darker back here. That's going to be a little darker because it's that piping. You can make a harder edge in through here. Make this a little darker, but so that way it stands out away from that back edge. I'll go in here and make this darker because it's a hard edge. I don't know why I've got a fruit fly in here. go away. Darken this up a little. Playing with that idea of line variation to establish things in a different place in space. So playing with spatial relationships by virtue of line quality adding that variation of darker lines. Let's see, that is, so this is fairly a harder edge here. I'm going to go back in and make this just a little darker. Not quite as dark as the other lines. I'm going to darken this one up too so we can tell it's more of a trim. And I think I'm going to do the same for these edges here. Just make them a little more pronounced. It's one of the few things I don't like about doing videos is that it sometimes puts me in a weird physical relationship to my paper, and I can't always get the marks that I actually want, because if I do, I'm going to be blocking the camera. Okay, that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to go in and add a little bit more dimension into here, into here, into here. Yeah, definitely it needs a little bit in here to separate that. Again, give this the same visual priority as those other hard edge lines. Put this here to describe that, the relationship in space there, and just taper that out and let the contour lines do the rest of that work. Go back here and establish that edge a little bit more. Put those dark in there so you can tell those the way they're moving. I think I will establish a little bit more of a darker edge with these shoelaces. There's that bug again. Okay, this comes over there and down. Alright, so there I described my major folds just by using those hard outlines. You see that my cross contour lines conform with the contours that of the shapes that I've drawn. And because I didn't use straight up and down vertical lines, I used lines on a diagonal and took my cues from the reference. Then it looks fairly settled in space. It's settled in space. It looks as if it could be receding into space as opposed to going straight up and down in space. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you learned something. And this is the completed drawing of the shoe. Thanks.